CO everyone. Thank you for joining. About to get started here shortly. Sister Bethy, thank you for being here. King Third, what up, brother? Levante, I see you, brother. OCO, everyone. R.L. Smith, that's a good question. East Texas in the building, I see you. Dallas, what up? Cleveland in the building. St. Louis in the building. Tampa, Florida in the building. What's up, y'all? Duval, Atlanta, Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, Chicago. What we got? West Palm Beach, Cleveland, Alabama, Missouri. Shout out to Missouri. I see y'all. Seattle, what's up? Kentucky, I see you. What up, Philly? Charlotte, North Carolina in the building. Tennessee, baby. Houston in the building. What up, Texas? Decatur, I see you. I see you, Memphis. You heard me. You heard me. What up, Memphis? Nola in the building. Shout out to Louisiana. Chicago in the building. What up, Chicago? I see you. I'm trying to send out these notifications really quick. Give me a sec. YouTube, you gotta allow them to use the feather, YouTube. Come on, YouTube. Stop blocking that feather. Flavor Pharaoh, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you. I bet he won't pull up over here. I missed it. I think her name was Lakeisha. I appreciate that, sister. Thank you, sister. And to the new members that join, I appreciate you for joining, but please don't post my personal pictures all over social media. That's my family right there. Let's keep it between you and I. I really appreciate that. Make sure y'all subscribe to Sister Bethy Talk Show. She in the chat right there. Just click her name and go subscribe really quick. Support my sister, y'all. To watch all of my exclusive content not featured here on my channel, log on to my website at imjustheretomakeyoutthink.com/films. All right, let's go.
All right. Peace, everybody. Welcome back to All Viral Access Media. Please like, please share, please subscribe, and click that bell for all notifications. I don't have to give this man an introduction because y'all know his work. But I'm going to say, for those who may not know him, and you must be living under a rock, I want to introduce y'all to my platform, the thorough researcher, Dane Calloway. How you doing, King?
I'm doing well, brother. I'm up in here now working on some things. I'm trying to figure out which one I'm going to release today.
All right, so look.
Ooh, I'm hearing some feedback too.
On my end?
Yeah, it sounds like it's coming through your speakers.
Let me turn this down real quick.
That's definitely going to come out in the recording.
All right, how is it now? What you think?
Let me see. I can still hear it, but I wish you could hear what I'm referring to, because it's like, as soon as I talk, it's a bunch of feedback, and I could also hear myself.
All right, because I can't hear it on my end. How about, is that all right?
Two. It's still doing it, but I'm gonna have to deal with that, because I'm not too sure what it is, but it sounds like it's feedback coming through a speaker.
Yeah, it's coming off my I have it on my speakers.
Oh, you don't have a headset?
Nah.
You gotta get that.
Yeah, I don't have the headset with the with the mic and all that hooked up to it. Nah.
Because if you, I'm gonna talk to you after that. I'm gonna get you right.
All right, that's what's up. Will this conversation throw you off? Do you think this is gonna delay certain things, or what you think?
I don't think so. It's just, it is a little irritating though. It is, like, as I'm talking, it's going on as we're talking.
All right.
I can deal with it though. I mean, because you live now.
Right. If it's okay, do you think you could just log out and come back in? Maybe that'll work. If not, we just gonna go through it, because I want this to be very suitable and comfortable for you, fam.
Now go ahead. We good to go. I'm gonna have to deal with it.
All right. So let me play this for you real quick. All right. All right. Hopefully this is not too much for you as far as the feedback. Or agree with some of the things that he said, far as that we wasn't enslaved in Africa or were brought over here or whatever the case may be, but mainly being that we was already here, which is true. But what is your thoughts on his philosophy in close out?
So the question is, for all of you people who are interested in who you are, the first thing you should have to talk to your past grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, right? The other things that you have to do your DNA test. The other, outside of what Dane Calloway is talking about, Dane Calloway has never written anything. So when How many papers? Say I write a paper to a journal, which I have a journal article, right? Or
You don't know me very well.
I have to write a paper. I have to footnote and show my sources. Dane Calloway's ideas are just his ideas. So what he does not know is that America is the last populated continent that humans went to. And they got to America roughly about 60,000 years ago, maybe 70,000 years ago. They crossed either the Bering Strait during the Ice Age, or they get to the darker skinned Africans, get to the Americas by the islands of Papua New Guinea, the island, and getting finally to Hawaii. Because they were seafarers crossing the Pacific, and then they get into South America. So we're looking at a culture about 60,000 years ago. So what he doesn't want to talk about, is the DNA test.
Stop right there. You can talk about the DNA test.
All right, hold on. Gotcha. Let's talk about the DNA test. Let's get to it, King.
Well, number one, first of all, I have 2 books that's out right now on Amazon that everybody can purchase. I do have workout, just to correct that guy. I have written multiple different things that's on my website. I do have articles out as well, and books, and more books are coming, by the way. I also produced movies on this content that's out right now on my website as well. So if he doesn't know that, that's not my fault. But as far as the DNA test, I did talk about the DNA test. I'm not running from it. I talked about it and also did research on it, because the genealogy DNA test, that was loud. The genealogy DNA test is totally different from, hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The genealogy DNA test is totally different from a maternal and paternal DNA test. The maternal and paternal DNA test can only go as far back as your grandparents, and they have to be living. Okay, I mean, otherwise that will force the testers to pull data from an individual's corpse, like that's up under the ground already, meaning that they will have to be dug up. This is the reason why I'm debunking genealogy DNA testing, because they're only handing you a paper saying that you're related to some groups of people in a totally different part of the world, but they're not coming back with names. In other words, they're not telling you who your people are. They're not telling you your 5th-time great-grandmother's name and your 5th-time great-grandfather's name. They don't have any names attached to it, so this is blind information that somebody is receiving after they pay between $59 to $399, and it's straight congestion. That's all it is, because it's guesses. In fact, the ancestry companies, multiple ones, and I put a movie out about this called Biological Warfare. They have admitted that their accuracy, as far as their testing is concerned, is 0.001% accurate. They tell you all the time that you have to do a genealogy research investigation on your own individual family to see if any of the information that they gave you, as far as the genealogy DNA test is concerned, is valid. So, in other words, you can't get around documentation. And this is the reason why DNA is nothing compared to you doing genealogy on your own individual family. You have to know for sure by having it in your hand, and they will detail who your family members are, not by guesses saying that you're related to some other people that you have no idea about. You're not there seeing what they're doing with your information. Nobody can verify that. But what we can verify is that they're coming back. They're not telling you any of your family members. They can't. That technology is impossible. This is the reason why genealogy DNA testing is nothing but entertainment.
And I would like to add, because Luke, I know that I can hear the feedback too. What's his name? Henry Louis Gates, when he was doing the genealogy and all that stuff, and that's why they cut his show short. And he actually said in a seminar or webinar, whatever he was doing, he was saying jokingly, but he was serious about how can you trace a person's DNA back to Africa. You know what I'm saying? Like, he joked about
using saliva. Yeah, I saw that.
Right. So it kind of put a whole perspective on whether the DNA can actually pinpoint the accuracy, location, or locale where you descend from.
Exactly. And it can't. You can't base that off of somebody else's saliva. Now, in order for genealogy DNA testing to work, they will have to dig up our ancestors' graves individually. Like, they will have to dig up yours, Mike, and they will have to dig up mine individually. And that's impossible. I mean, how much land are you going to dig up? All of it?
But what about if the people in that location, just for instance, for example, just say Ghana or Nigeria or whatever, or wherever they found Lucy, right? Mm-hmm. And that DNA and the people from that actual landmass or country or whatever, or state you want to call it, whatever, and the people that still live there for those thousands of years, when they mitochondrial DNA still be
mitochondrial DNA.
Yes, will still be embedded in the people that still live today. So is it possible to identify a locale through DNA? Is it possible?
No, not a location. Not a location. The reason why is because they can't determine. DNA testing. If I got to remember the year, but it started in the 1980s, and I do have the exact year, but I don't have that in front of me. Okay. The problem is that what they're doing, they're comparing your data with other living people, so they can't tell you anything historic. You see what I'm saying? If they're for example, if they're comparing your data with somebody in West Africa right now that's living, that doesn't mean that that's telling you your historical genetic makeup. That's just saying that you share some DNA traits with somebody in a different part of the world. That doesn't mean that you're related.
Okay. Now, he was saying something. I want to give the actual name that he said, and I want you to hear just a little bit. I skipped it so you can hear the actual name, and then I will stop it. Here we go.
And tell me what you see. Tell me what you see. And so these are the pyramid builders of the Native Americans. Christopher Columbus talked about the homosexuality. The Conquistadors talked about the homosexuality.
Because Christopher Columbus was a homosexual.
Anybody look up the site that I said, and look up and Google, just Google multi-Native American pornography.
Multi-Native pornography. And he was saying that some of the Cherokee Indians or whatever was practicing homosexuality. And you said the same thing that I said too, is that if anything, wouldn't they learn from their colonizers, because that was their MO. So what he's trying to say, or not, I guess, deflect from the fact that we've been here, he's trying to, I guess, say that whatever or how it is, they were gay. I'm trying to not be.
I know. I see what you're saying, and what he's saying is only, and it's not even the entire Cherokee Nation. It was just a small group of people. And matter of fact, they weren't even tied to the Cherokee, by the way. I know what he's referring to, but that's not everybody. Like, for example, you and I are not gay.
Hell no, I got
exactly. Exactly. And so do I. Mine is right downstairs in my bedroom. So
right.
But that's not everybody. Of course, that didn't go down that way. I don't know why he's trying to make it seem like that was everybody. And we're not Native American, by the way. We are not Native American. Anybody can be a Native. American Indian is what we were and are today.
Okay.
I like to use the term Niji though. But by historical record, And especially by government documentation, yeah, they considered us wild Indians, urban Indians, Negro Indians, and American Indians, Ameri Indians also. It was always Indian.
Right. See, now sometimes I get, and this is me personally asking the question because, and I know you answered this plenty of times, but far as us being here, this is Turtle Island, the Aborigines of this land. How is it that they identify the jet black people, the light brown skin to the darkest black hair as Indians, where there's a continent called India? So can you, for the people who may not understand, why
it's real easy, brother? That area was just considered India in 1950. Prior to that, that was always Hindustan. That was the original name of that landmass. When it was colonized, it was by the imaginary lines, they made it smaller. Hindustan was a lot larger. In fact, it was the same size as Ethiopia originally. In fact, Ethiopia and Hindustan would make up what we call Africa right now. But that was years ago. So right now, yeah, they're calling it India, and it happened in 1950. Prior to that, no, it wasn't referring to them at all, as far as their landmass is concerned. That wasn't the name of the landmass. It was Hindustan. It still is called Hindustan by people today of that area.
So far as I never even thought about it, to be honest. And I don't think it ever crossed my mind, but I'm a real deep truth seeker. But and it's so simple, but you made me even think of something that's so simple, far as the slave trade, the Middle Passage, all of that. Why is it out of that excursion, and they say it's over 100 million Africans that perish within that Middle Passage? Why is there no evidence of slave boats? And that right there, because like, I ain't seen none.
Yeah. Because the Middle Passage is not the Middle Passage, or the AKA the transatlantic slave trade, didn't happen the way we were told. Now, people try to twist my words and say that the slave trade didn't happen. I'm telling you, it didn't happen the way that we were told. The slave trading, what was trading were children. What was being traded were children. Okay, now of foreigners though, like the Euro-Asia or Europe is whatever you want to call it, they were sending their children once they noticed that the adults were dying. They felt as though that the people here, our ancestors, would adopt their children because they're children. Yeah, they were sending them by the hundreds, and they became the slaves. They were slaves in Europe also, prior to them coming here. That's the reason why the government pronounced them free whites when they got here in the census, 1790.
When you was on, everybody, please press one if you can hear me, because the mic is far away. Please press one if you can hear me, so I can make sure I don't have to yell and over talk, because it's like 5 minutes, 6 in the morning, and kids are sleeping and shit. Please press one if you can really hear me good, so I don't have to really yell. Please. Thank you, Ms. Mom. So when you was on a Godcast, shout out to Lord Jamal. You asked,
yeah, Lord Jamal. That's my brother right there.
That's right. Salute to him. You asked Godfrey, because his lineage come from Nigeria and he was born out there but raised in Chicago. You asked him,
correct,
that did you hear any stories from your forefathers, your parents, your great-grandparents about the slave trade and being slaves and being captives and blah, 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 blah. And he said he never heard of that. So with that being said, is it safe to say that a lot of the stuff that we hear about slavery really has not been done because the people from the certain landmass they're, you know, the oracle. The oracle is oracle stories that have been passed down when there was no book. So things have been passed down from your grandparents, great grandparents to the youth. If they say they never heard of it, how can Americans here base our history on a quote unquote allegedly made up story for our slavery? That's
called indoctrination.
That's right. Go ahead.
That's called indoctrination. Indoctrination is actually that, to make you agree, or regardless if you agree or not, but to make you subscribe. Let me use that word.
I was about to say subscribe.
I was going to say subscribe, but I want to say, okay, yeah. But adopt. Let me say adopt, because you're adopting a stranger's narrative uncritically. Uncritically meaning without question. You cannot say anything about it. That's the way it goes. So that means that it's one-sided information. That's the whole point of what I'm doing right now, brother. I'm actually not trying to debunk Pan-Africanism, but it happened inadvertently because it's a lie. But I'm also I'm really attacking the school curriculum. Because that is totally incorrect. And that's where it started. Keep that in mind. We ain't know nothing about us coming from Africa and all these stories until we went to school. We didn't hear that from our parents. We heard it from our teachers. And that's what the problem is. And this is the reason why I'm trying to stop that, because somebody wants this land all for themselves when it's ours. And it wasn't ours to give. It was ours to share. The problem is that we did go into deals with these people that ended up coming here, but something fell through. Something fell short. We got the back end of the stick. And that started in the 1860s, and all the way up. That's where, keep in mind, we were already separate as a people.
Right.
All right. Keep that in mind. Don't forget that the 1960s, and when they started the movement for integration, right? I mean, now they masking it as the civil rights movement, but they were trying to integrate everything. Prior to that, we were already separate. We were already separate, doing very well, prospering, millionaires, big houses, a lot of land, farmers. So we made a mistake once we said, oh no, the white people are doing better than us, guys. Let's latch on to them. We didn't need that. We were doing well without that. In fact, we had, and to go back a little bit further, we had the government in the 1960s. In the 1860s, 1870s.
Right.
All the way up to the 1890s. We were a part of Congress. We were a part of the government. It only changed when somebody at the top of the 1900s declared the Great Depression.
Right.
And somebody was president and allowed a group of racist white folks to come up in there and play the first movie that was called Birth of a Nation in the White House.
That's right.
Okay. Somebody's been lying this whole time, and this is what I've been investigating this whole time. I mean, since 2014? I hit Facebook 2014, went viral. Finally did my YouTube 2016, went viral. Here we are now, 2021, and not one person can come out and debunk that because I'm putting up proof.
And you doing a great, and I'm gonna try not to curse on this one. You're doing a great job in your thorough research. You have footnotes, you have references, and you do your research, because you know why certain Pan-Africans, and I was a Pan-African, I'm on a back house of this, that, and third, but I always questioned this before I even knew who you were. But when you really dug into it, I'm like, I'm not the only one, but you doing the research. But what I thought, why, respectfully, Senator or the conscious community senator, why they will not try to challenge you is because they have been used to or content with that knowledge, to whereas they don't want to look outside of it.
Correct.
Or don't want to feel comfortable, because knowledge is infinite, man. You could be content,
that's right.
But as you grow, new knowledge may come with some footnotes and concrete evidence. So they don't want to step outside their comfort zone. So instead of challenging or contesting or having a dialogue with you. They'd rather say, man, he's talking bullshit. But show
no, before
go ahead.
Before that, they were slandering my name. They were slandering my name, trying to assassinate my character. They were upset. They were really upset about that. And they were upset because my videos were going viral at that time. And all I'm doing is sharing information. I'm not just talking shit. Like this is actually real work for me.
That's right.
I have to not only do this research, I have to write it down and make sure that it's understandable before I put it out. And then I got to do the editing and the music and the recording of the voice. I'm doing a lot.
I'm an editor. I've been doing this for a long time. I know the work that you do and putting it together. You can make a 13-minute video. The shit could probably take 4 or 6 hours. You got to put the music, you got to put the pictures that match it. I know. I've been doing this for a very long time.
It's crazy.
Go ahead, King.
It's crazy. And on top of all the research that I have to do, that's even more time. Right. Like my Harriet Tubman, Nat Turner stuff took me a total of 4 years to get that done.
Wow.
In full. Even though I talked about it throughout these years,
right,
I had to put a book out once I was finished. So I put a book out about, including my research, by the way, including my research. All of that is on Amazon right now inside of that book, proving that those were characters created by acts of Congress in order to not to give us a hero or heroes or heroine. They were giving us ways, and well, how can I explain it? They were, yeah, I could say it that way. They were giving us ways to submit. To submit. Let me say it that way. To submit to a higher authority unforeseen.
This is a real deep question for me, and I'm gonna make it very short, plain and simple. The Grandmasters, John Henry Clark, who I love, never met. Dr. Ben, we share the same birthday, December 31st, who I love but never met. Ivan Van Sertima, Chancellor Williams, a bunch of names that we all know. Now, they spent their entire fucking life, 30, 40 plus years, and died broke for teaching the fucking people about their African history. Not saying that they were wrong. I feel it wholeheartedly know they wasn't wrong on most of the information that they disseminate to the people. But my question to you is, all of the information that they done gather up from young until they died, did their information go unheard, or did they did not have the tools or the medium or the outlets or the internet or the futuristic technology to find this information? Did they miss the ball? Was they one-dimensional? So they died looking one-dimensional. Let's talk about it.
Okay, now, not only were they one-dimensional, they just didn't see the other side. To go back to what you were saying, they didn't have access to the internet. They didn't have access to traveling. And those that did traveled to another country instead of focusing on this one. And so, of course, they didn't have the stories of America. They were focused on Africa. A couple of them did say something about Africans coming here, but they did come, but they came later. Way later, not early, because none of us can determine if somebody was here 5,000 years ago. That's a guess. Not only is that a guess, that's an assumption. Not only is that an assumption, that's a theory in which that has to be proven in order to be true. Now, as far as what we can see, Africans did come here, but it was way later, 1900s later.
So are you telling me the Olmecs? Because hold on, the current from Morocco, Ghana, or just the west, the northwestern coast of Africa, the current literally goes to the Mexican Gulf.
Mhm.
So the current, you don't even have to paddle the boat. The boat would literally guide you there. So you're saying, as far as the Olmecs is concerned, the big heads with the wide nose and braided hair, are you telling me that at
They're
that
American.
time they're American, but they Black American? So
Yeah.
all right, go ahead, guys.
Yeah, they're not from Africa. There's nothing Africa about them. There's nothing Africa about the Olmecs. Now, you will see the Olmecs in different places because certain people requested them to be transferred there. But those Olmecs heads originated in South America. What we call South America. But that's still Turtle Island. Those are our kinfolk.
Oh wow, that's pretty tough. That's pretty tough because you said that they didn't reach America to the 1900s, and we know the Olmecs is before the Aztecs and before the Mayans.
Yeah, that's correct.
So
but that doesn't mean that they're African.
1900s.
That's correct, but that doesn't mean that they're African. We in order for us to determine that they're African, what are we using?
I think you know to be honest, from my theory, the only thing that I think people is using is the phenotype to basically pinpoint the origin. And for those
that's what they did to us.
For those who may not know what phenotype means, it's basically the nose structure, the facial structure, basically the facial characteristics of a Negro. So that's what that means for those who may not know. Go ahead, Ken.
That's true. And that's exactly what they did to us. And called us Africans in the 1900s. Keep that in mind. They never called us African straight up in the census, not one time. Why not? Why didn't they just say African? Now, I mean, yeah, they said slave, and then they ended up saying Negro. I mean, well, no, before Negro was Indian, then colored, then Negro, mulatto,
right,
and now African American and Black. But we never had African as the label coming from the census. Why not? And that was 1790.
And
did they see Indians or Africans?
I was about to say 1790. I did see mulatto. I did see, I think white. I'm trying to see if I see Black, but I know Indian. But here's the question too. But you can tap into the 1790 census. All right, but and this is basically related to the 1790 census. Now, I want to know: do a lot of people who may not know the full history and the total detail, even though they could be our grandmothers or great grandmothers if they were still here or before they transitioned to an ancestor, did they mix up these two words, servitude or slavery? What is the difference between servitude?
There's no difference.
Please explain that.
Okay, servitude. Okay, all right. That's exactly what slavery. Okay, all right. Hold on, let me back up a little bit.
Because slavery, you didn't get paid. Servitude, you served and got compensated, whether it was the amount you deserve or whatever they give you.
Allegedly.
Right.
Allegedly. That's the reason why I had to say allegedly, because the slaves were also promised something. They were also promised the same thing as the indentured servants. After 5 to 7 years of working on that same plantation, then you're let go.
Right.
Then you're let go. But that means once your contract is finished, then you could go either apply for, I'm trying to bring in this for realistic terms. You could go apply for the same job again, or you could go somewhere else. A lot of our people stayed on those plantations because they didn't want to go anywhere else. They were comfortable. Slavery was not the way people made it seem like it was. It wasn't about chains and shackles and being brought over on slave ships. That's not what happened. slavery was indentured servitude. It was about working for somebody, no matter their skin complexion. It was a lot of landowners who were of our complexion. And a lot of our people were working for their own people. Then when the government allotted lands to the pale faces, the Europeans and everyone else that came over here that was a pale face, they also granted them lands that was ours. They took it from ours, snatched it, and said they claimed it in taxes and handed it for free to the people incoming during the that started 1820 and especially 1830, because 1830 came, it got to the point where we were like, that ain't going down. And the federal government wanted to move us off of our land on the East Coast. That's where you get the what? The Indian Removal Act of 1830. But that was happening before the 1830s, and it was happening after the 1830s. But during that same $5 Indians, during that same time period came the American Colonization Society. This was the same society that was established by Kentucky, Missouri, Connecticut, and I'm missing somebody. They got together, created the American Colonization Society. These were missionaries of Quakers and Christians. One of them was named Ann Mifflin, was in charge of this. Her name was Ann Mifflin. Ann Mifflin went to the president at that time and said, look, we need these niggas to get from this land. Let's create a way where we can, or a campaign where we can let them know, hey, there's safer lands somewhere on the west coast of Africa.
Right.
That's when they got Sierra Leone, Liberia, and a couple of other places, Congo, on the west coast of Africa, from the French. Prior to that, the American government didn't own any lands on the west coast of Africa. So now we know for sure that the Africans weren't coming from West Africa by way of the United States, because the United States didn't have ownership of any lands on the west coast of Africa. Period.
So how did they get over here? And the Pope supposed to had not sanctioned, but granted that their scum of the earth that was locked in the cages to go to Africa and lock them up and bringing them to them and bring us to all this, four corners of the earth. How, if there wasn't run by slave ships or whatever, how is the story in the book, the relationship between the Black and Jews, that some of the rabbi Jewish scholars have pinpointed finance, and I'm gonna say allegedly, because I'm using the 4 crucial letters. How did they come to create a book with, I guess, footnotes? It could be, whether it could be pseudo.
I have that book.
Okay.
No, I have that book.
So if you know about it, talk about it. Is it real?
Oh yeah.
Talk about it.
No, the relationship between us and the Jews were real, but that came later on. That was, once again, that was in the 1800s. That was in the middle of the 1800s when that started. Now they were doing business deals. This was enabling the Jews to come over here and do business with us. At that time, we had the majority of the banks. We had 150 banks at that time. And that wasn't even including the Bureau of, not the Bureau, the Freedmen's Bureau. That's what it's called. That's not including the Freedmen's Bureau. We had 150 banks, and we had thousands of jobs already and a lot of land, acres and acres and acres of land. And that's what they were after. They were trying, and if you think about it, that was the same reason why the Democrats wanted us to become Democrats. Before the Democrats, they were called the Dixiecrats. And before the Dixiecrats, it was called the Democratic Republican Party. But they needed our help for that reason, because we had a lot of power when it came to land and income flux of money at that time. But this is the reason why things got flipped around, and Woodrow Wilson he mandated the Federal Reserve note in the 1900s, because prior to that, it was in road. The bartering system was there. So I was able to trade, for example, 3 bottles of water with you, and you gave me a certain part of your land. I know that's unrealistic, but I'm just saying that's how things went. It was a bartering system there. That was before the greenbacks. That was before any treaties and, any agreement went down. Yeah, the government didn't have control until the late 1800s. Prior to that, we were in the government. We had everything under control, and somebody didn't like it. Yeah, but the Jews knew what was up. They wanted to work with us. They knew that we were the breadwinners.
All right. I have a few more questions now, and that's all. Let's talk about, and this is all off the head. We didn't prepare. This was random. So
we're going to do it again, brother. We're going to do it again.
I really hope so, and I really appreciate you, King. Now, let's talk about the Seminoles and the Geechees. Are they the last people with our phenotype and pigmentation that carries the lineage of our Native Americanness or Aboriginal place on this land?
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say they will be the last people. No.
Okay.
A lot of the tribes it's 356 right now, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that number. I know it's in the 300s, but all of them have been infiltrated by the federal government. Every single one of them. So, including the people that would do your genealogy, they're all white, all pale faces, all foreigners. Every single one of them were infiltrated. So it's not about getting back with the tribe. It's about getting the lands. The tribes are infiltrated. We got to let that go. But as far as us is concerned, like where you could see, you can still see certain people right now that will look like us that are involved in tribes. Not just the ones that you mentioned. It's more, even federally recognized tribes. There's a lot of us in there. They are speaking up. They just don't have, they just don't have the power to capture people's attention, I guess. Either that or people just don't want to hear it.
Right.
They're there.
I just found out, I could probably say close to 2 years now that, because my mother family side is really based in Maryland. And I just came to find out that, not in full detail, but I was told by my sister and my grandmother that we come from the Eastern Shore Cherokee Indians from Maryland. And she said that there were slaves in our family too. So that's why I asked about the servitude and slavery combination. So how can I differentiate or comprehend that concept of being coming from a lineage of Native and also having slavery in my blood as well?
Well, it's just like right now, Target, for example, the store Target has employees. Any business is going to have employees. That's how you look at it. So, and that's why slavery, so-called slavery, was big business. Because, those were the employees. They're working for somebody doing a job for them. There's nothing wrong with having slaves because that means that they were working. It's either they got paid or they got paid by land, or it all depends on, the individual. You would have to see the indentures, the contracts to see what happened. land could have been allotted. You'll never know. It would be best to find out what happened. I agree, because I can state certain general things, but everybody's is different individually. If your ancestors were slaves, records will reflect that, and it would detail what they were doing, what their jobs were, where they lived, who they were married to, their children. It's all on the indenture. That has to be reported back to the government. Those indentures, I show people what indentures look like on my channel, by the way. But they do exist. Library of Congress, National Archives.
So now how the schools, the curriculums, they trying to soften up the history of slaves. They saying they trying to change the names from slave to servants. You know what I mean? So basically the question is, as far as the whole concept of slavery as we know it, chattel slavery, I may add, are you saying that whole story is concocted but have some truth to it?
Yeah, I can say that because slavery is employment.
Okay.
It's still going on right now. It didn't stop. It never stopped. When they said that they abolished slavery in 18, exactly, including the white folks. That's how it was back then.
Right.
It's the same thing now, except for it's just well decorated. The only thing that changed in 1865 was ownership. You went from being owned by the state to being owned by the federal government. That's it. It wasn't you being freed. No. When you were manumitted by the employer, you were given paper. You were given a piece of paper saying, "No, you good to go. Your contract is over." And some people wanted to stay. Some people got their lands from their so-called slave master or their employer. It depends on the situation. And that person could be of color. That was their master or employer. Don't forget that. And people got to understand that. It was a lot of our ancestors that had money and had land. They could have been employers or AKA slave masters. Don't count that out. It wasn't all white folks.
Now,
and it wasn't all black folks that were slaves. It was white folks also. A lot of them, actually. In fact, it was more the slaves, as far as slavery, indentured servitude is concerned, has everything to do with them, honestly, and not us. It only affected us later on. Once we became prisoners of the wars that were happening in the 1800s. When we became POWs, then yeah, that's when you started seeing our ancestors become indentured servants. Prior to that, landowners, business owners, all this stuff was happening before this government was established. And I don't mean 1776. I'm talking about 1830, 1840. That's when the government started really kicking tail. They didn't really do anything in the 1700s. They couldn't. There was too many of us. They had to wait. It took them a while.
Two more last questions. Slavery, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, civil rights. Now, from all of that, how, maybe this is a loaded question or a complex question. How can you put together how you can explain those periods in time that can relate to us being natives to America? Maybe that's not.
Oh yeah.
Question.
No. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying because I actually did a segment on that. I did multiple segments on this. For example, the civil rights movement. Did you know that the civil rights was called the Indian civil rights?
No.
In fact, I think that's still on Wikipedia if they didn't take that down. It's called the Indian civil rights. That's the original name of it. And that's all three of them were called. I'm talking about all three. It just wasn't one act. All three of the Civil Rights Acts were called Indian Civil Rights Act. All three. That's number one. Number two, that's when the separations came on the third Indian Civil Rights Act. The separation of handing certain privileges to the incoming notice I said incoming Native Americans, white people, and then the Negroes. That's what they were calling us then. On the third Civil Rights Act.
When
but that has all to do with us. We got the Indians. Okay, there's so many different things that I could talk about right here, but one of them is people. Okay, during the 1960s, when you saw Martin Luther King and a couple of other people coming up trying to influence us to go register and vote, at that time, that's when we started losing our lands. Because once you became an elector or voter, that's when you lost your lands. You lost everything that you owned. And now that's not me making that up. I put that on screen with people talking. I'm talking about not me. I'm talking about with people of that time period telling you what was going on. They were losing their lands because they registered and voted. They registered to vote. So if you went to go register to vote, to become a voter, you lost your land as an Indian. All the land that you had on top of that. In fact, what's his name? Oh man, he just passed. What's his name? I can't remember this guy's name, man. He was a politician as well that just recently passed. He was in Congress. But I have the video of him on my channel stating that his mother and his father was stating, look, don't go out there and link up with Martin Luther King to go vote and everything because we'll lose our lands. We'll lose our house. It's multiple people that I have on camera stating that. The Indians were losing their land during that time period. That's when we started losing ourselves. Really, really, really heavy. And people didn't know that. They were just innocently, we're going to vote. And it's going to take us off the fields and we're going to have, and that's when they started coming up with the labor unions. And they would think, John Lewis, somebody in chat said it, John Lewis.
Right, okay.
But John Lewis was who I was referring to as far as his parents saying, they were going to lose their lands and don't go. They were telling him not to get involved in that, and he did it anyway. Keep in mind, he had to use the college students to get that done. When John Lewis met Martin Luther King, he was 16.
Yeah, he was.
They were using children to manipulate them, brother, just like how it was then. When slavery started, they were using children. You can only manipulate children. You couldn't manipulate the adults. But yeah, that's how they lost their lands, because the children made that mistake. And that was Martin Luther King all the way up. Even Martin Luther King was young. He was being taught. And in fact, I got a video coming out about that. I'm going to let you know who was controlling Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King is not all good.
You talking about the one? I guess the one that was kind of controlling him was he was a black guy who was he was down with the Pride people. Are you talking about him? Something Ruffin or some shit? You talking about the black guy? He's a part of it.
He's a part of it, but I'm talking about the guy that's over him. In fact, this is who Martin Luther King's father was involved with, that I'm referring to. It's a white guy. And it was infiltrated. Martin Luther King infiltrated. Martin Luther King infiltrated. And they infiltrated Martin Luther King with the guy from Jamaica. I talked about him too. What's his name? The one that started Black Power. And he started the first Black Panther Party. He started the first one, very first one. His name is
Oh wow.
He called himself
Stinkley?
But his last name is Carmichael.
Stokely Carmichael.
Yeah, Stokely Carmichael. That's what I'm talking about. Stokely Carmichael infiltrated. Oh yeah, Stokely Carmichael was sent. He was sent by the federal government to infiltrate Martin Luther King, because at that time The reason why, I'm gonna tell you why. The reason why it was way late. Hold on, wait. Matter of fact, I can hang you the video. I got video evidence, brother. I'm not making this up. I got video evidence of the people of their campaigns telling you this. I'm not making this up. He was an infiltrator by the federal government. When he came in 1964 to take over the SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, he infiltrated Martin Luther King and everything else that was going on with the civil rights movement by way of the federal government. Because at that time,
I said he's from Trinidad. So what of them? And that's the thing. I'm glad you mentioned that, okay? Yes. Because my wife and I found out the discrepancy in there. He's either now. Here's the discrepancy because his mother is from Trinidad and his father is from Jamaica. Okay, so there was some discrepancies, but yeah, they're gonna say Trinidad. They're gonna say Jamaican. That's why if you hear me in my documentary, at first I'll say Trinidad. And then later on at the end of the documentary, I'll say Jamaican. But yeah, he was the infiltrator. They wanted to stop Martin Luther King from telling the people that we need to go get reparations, to sum it up. Because Martin Luther King changed the script once he saw that the government wasn't doing anything as far as giving us rights, civil rights. So he flipped the script and said, all right, we'll hand us land and money. And that's when you saw Stokely Carmichael come in and they infiltrated him. And it got him killed. It got Martin Luther King killed. I'm not trying to put that part on Stokely Carmichael, but the infiltration started with him. And that's coming from Martin Luther King's own people. And I have that, and that's on my channel right now, brother. It's called The Breach of the Civil Rights Movement. That's on my channel right now. And I got permission to play all these people that you're gonna see. I'm not playing. I paid for that. I wanted people to see that because, and yes, and I also showed you that he started the official Black Panther Party, the very first one. That was before Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale. That was before them. Matter of fact, it was two of them. A year later, after he became the president of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. This is all in that documentary right now, brother. I'm not playing. I'm not making that up. I know that's hard to believe. I know it is, but I'm not joking. I know it is, brother, but I'd much rather you watch the video first because I'm not talking shit. I got it on screen, brother. I'm not playing. Now, tell us the backwards history of slavery. Break it down as simplistic as you can because it's basically a question for me. Break down, it don't have to be long, as quick, as best as you could. Please explain how is the slavery backwards? Can you explain that? It's history backwards, God damn it.
I'm not understanding. I'm not understanding what that.
You said history. I mean, far as slavery is concerned, it was told backwards.
Oh, the slave trade. The slave trade was told to us in reverse. I just mentioned it earlier. Because of the American Colonization Society was sending 1,150. I think they said, hold on, I'm wrong on the number. Let me just say between 11,000 to 13,000 people from here to Africa. That was the first. That was it. That's it right there. The American Colonization Society in the 1800s.
This is what I meant to read because I looked up days. Like this is days ago. And I put in how many people were on the slave ships, and it says, I'm gonna read it. It says, under the terms of the act, ships could transport 1.7 slaves per ton up to a maximum of 207 tons burden, after which only one slave per ton could be carried. The well-known slave ship Brooks was limited to carrying 454 people. It had previously transported as many as 609 slaves. Now look, If you could only transport 609 slaves, let's just say, and it was over 100 million that died during the transatlantic slave trade, and this is during, as they say, that is the key word, during the transatlantic slave trade. So how many goddamn ships and excursions that it took to get the millions that was brought here, and without any proof of any physical evidence of a slave ship? That is very questionable. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, the slave ship is a fantasy. The term slave ship itself is a fantasy. That doesn't even exist. The term slave ship didn't come up in dictionaries until 1980s. When they created the internet and put this information out. Prior to that, there was no information, or the term slave ship actually didn't exist. What they're referring to are cargo ships. Now, cargo ships didn't come about until the top of the 1800s anyway. So prior to that, they were using sailboats, which were wherries, rowboats, okay? Things like that. Things that will have a sail to guide them through the streams. So that would be impossible for them to carry 400 people on one sailboat. That's impossible, especially with having the way they depicted it. They were trying to have us at the bottom of these so-called sailboats. That didn't happen. They'll be lost at sea before they can even make it out of Africa. Too heavy.
And then food. And
food, water,
and that's what made me go to the book by Vincent Wardard. It's called The Delectable Negro, the Homoerotic something. I'm pretty sure you know about that book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had the book.
Wardard. So it makes me think of that as well. So could that be fictional? Because he said in the book, basically to the point that the slave masters were eating their slaves during
that's cap.
And on this shore,
brother. That's cap. So we're going to say they're cannibals now. Look, the whole. Here's another thing. They are doing it now. The white folks are, but now I'm not putting it past them. But at the same time, that didn't happen. And the reason why that didn't happen is because, first of all, how were they able to capture Africans from Africa if they couldn't speak that same language as the Africans? How were they able to communicate? And then they turn around and said, no, these white folks got captured Africans, meaning that they were jailed Africans from Africa. Well, what language did they use? And who did that?
Well, I would have to disagree here. And I haven't really hardly disagreed with what you said this whole time. There is a universal language, and it's not music. You know what that universal language is? It's two sounds.
Sign language.
No. It's from a cannon coming from the fucking boats and a musket. Wow! You don't need to speak to me. When you see what this cannon and this gun do, and you can actually see what I'm doing, that's the sign language. We don't need to communicate.
All right. Okay. So let's take that. Let's take that, right? And they dropping bombs in the cannon and blowing it up. Look how long it takes to reload that. You think they not about to hop on that boat and kill that one person that's controlling the cannon?
I'll say this. If they are coming to invade a land, best believe they're not coming on one boat. They have plenty of boats, maybe 2, 3, 4, probably 10, depending on how many made it. But a lot of reinforcements, you know what I'm saying? Artillery to back that up. They can't just say four fucking cannonballs go off. All right, that's it. We done. We took this long ass 6 month, maybe a year excursion to come here to have 4 bullets. And all right, that's it. No, boom! They gonna come on now.
So if they killed everybody, how were they able to capture
people?
No,
it's not kill everybody. See, I say this because this was my own theory in my own mind. without talking to nobody, talking to myself, goddammit. Call me crazy, but I don't take medication. So you all right. Boom, anybody can identify who is the leader is, or who is the king, or who's in charge. Or even if you kill the king without knowing he's the king or the queen, somebody is going to understand what you're trying to do after you kill a certain few. So would a person from Nigeria or Ghana risk their whole entire community or country dying? Or they will reluctantly give up some of their people because they are outnumbered. They were the savages. Now, so, I mean, I'm just saying, like, you know.
No, I know what you like. No, what you're doing is critical thinking, and I welcome that, and I appreciate that. And the reality of that is because if any of that took place, the Nigerians should be saying the same thing. Like, they should be saying, our white folks came over there and took our folks. They should be saying that, but they're not. When we say, hey, look, hey, some of them Nigerians were stolen over there, they like, huh? What you talking about? It never fails. I talk to people from Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria. It's so many Africans that I talk to, and they all say the same thing. They don't have no clue about the slave trade. But if it did go down the way so-called American, Europeanized history claims, then who started it? Who were the people that were ahead of these boats coming over there to go capture these folks from Africa? We got to give them props. How come they not in the museum? They did a hell of a job.
Right.
I'm just saying.
And I think everybody need to understand that. Just like I said in my other live, that's like African people is telling us Americans here how our history was. They teaching us our history, but our grandmothers, great grandmothers in our history books, our folklore, our oracle trends, being passed down through lineage to lineage, generation to generation, that we never heard of that. So the Africans are speaking up on our history, and nobody that we know through history could validate that story.
You mean
that's how it is, right? That's
because the Pan-Africans will say that. Yeah, the Pan-Africans are. See, and it's sad, honestly. But I do have something coming out on the Pan-Africans so they can see where that came from, because I know there's a few people that need to hear that. How that started, who infiltrated, what that was all about, from top to bottom. And I told people it started in 1955. They're gonna say, "Oh no, the first African conference was 19 such a." Nah, it started in 1955, and I'm gonna show you what it was. I'm gonna put it on screen too. Go ahead, brother. You go.
Are you willing to take 1 or 2 phone calls? If not, that's cool. Because I only have one last question. I'm done. All right, so this is what I'm gonna do, everybody. I'm gonna take probably 2 or 3, but that's it. We're not gonna go crazy. If I pick up the phone for you, make it quick. This is not a interview. You ain't interviewing him. Do you have a statement? Make it short. Do you have a question? Make it short and sweet. We ain't doing that. So my last question to you is, brother, God damn it, that's a long sidebar, and I fucking forgot. Oh, what is that in Senegal? Where they have that, where they go to look at the slave quarters, and they show them the point of no return. Where is that? Is that in Senegal? You know what I'm talking about?
I think I know what you're talking about. You talking about when you go up on that bank and it looks like a jail? Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about.
Right. I think that's it's Senegal or some shit like that, right? Whatever it is.
I can't remember exactly where it was. I don't want to be wrong, but I know what you're referring to. But what that has to deal with is Africans enslaving other Africans. That's a jail. In fact, look at our jails. They look the same.
But they had a church, though. But hold on, they got a church right on the second deck or third deck.
And jails don't got a church?
It's Ghana.
See? Yeah, Cape Coast. That's it. Cape Coast. Yeah, that's Cape Coast. That's in I think that's in Ghana, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But that's it, Cape Coast.
I fucking listen, y'all don't know how long I've been trying to get this shit to happen. Nigga, I was drinking, I was damn near out. And he said he ready. Hell, God damn it, I got the fuck up. I ain't gonna fuck how I look on camera. I appreciate this shit because we need this. Because I always say, I'm about to put my number in. We have to understand knowledge is fucking infinite, everybody. Do the Jews send their fucking kids to a Nazi school? No. Do you understand what I'm saying? So why should we literally take all that information from the people who's been lying to us, creating a false narrative of history, or all of the above? So we should critically analyze everything that has been told to us. And we are people who want to know ourselves. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not going to keep talking because y'all know how I can do. But I appreciate this motherfucking interview. Bars, that shit rhyme right there. You put that goddamn shit in here. I love that goddamn. Is there anything you want to say before I put the number in there, brother?
Well, yeah, I got more. In fact, once I get off with you, I'm about to figure out what I'm going to post today. I'm trying to pick one. And then there's more new content coming out. I'm going to also be looking out for my videos on the Native Americans. That's coming. That's highly requested. People want me to. It's time. It's time. It's time. I'm gonna nip it in the butt this time. It's 3 parts. It's 3 parts. It's gonna be part 1, part 2, and part 3. I'm gonna make them roll back to back. But that's major. It is. It really is. And they're gonna be upset, man. But all I'm doing is telling the truth by documentation.
That's right. The number is there. Somebody said they wanted to call a little while ago. If you have any questions, please call in right now. I'm only gonna take probably 2 calls, maybe 3. But I'm looking at 2. If you want to call in, you have any questions, please call in. And I said that was my final question. I'm lying. I think this is my final one. What is what is the
you
difference?
Good, brother. You good.
Thank you, King. What is the difference between us here in the black Native Americans and the Mongoloids that we see now, who is the face of the Native Americans?
Now, the reason why I'm glad you brought that up, it's a big difference. It's a big difference. But I know I'm going to be talking about certain things that I'm about to put out. So let me try to simplify without going too deep. The ones that are called Mongolian. Now, that term, Mongolian, Negroid, Caucasoid, those are misnomers. But those people that they're referring to are not from here. They're from Siberia. It's a difference. And this is the reason why those so-called federally recognized tribes don't want you to take a DNA test and say, hey, let's say I'm Native American, because if they take a DNA test, it's saying, nah, y'all Siberian. Right. But yeah, any federally recognized tribe do not accept DNA tests for that reason, because it's exposing them in a way. Now, this is the thing. When it comes to these Mongoloids or Native or whatever you want to call them, they just started coming here also in the 1840s, 1850s, right along with the Chinese and Japanese. I'm gonna bring. That's all I'm gonna say, because everything else is gonna get put out. But that term Native American. I can say this too. That term Native American isn't brand new, but it's brand new to those that didn't call themselves that. In fact, should I say this? Yeah, I can say this. Before these people were labeled as Native Americans, it was white folks labeled as Native American, and they were called the Know Nothings.
What you talking about? What you talking about?
It's called the Native American Party. They were dubbed as the Know Nothings. This was prior to the Democrats and Republicans. This was right around the same time as the Federalists and the Whigs. They was the Native American Party, and they were the 3rd major political party of the United States. They called themselves the Native Americans. That's where it came from first. But look, and these are the same people that came from the apartheid that was happening in South Africa. They called themselves, and this is where the term Africa came from. It came from them. They called themselves Africans. But in their language, Afrikaans is pronounced Afrikaner. They're of Dutch descent. They're not even African.
I seen your video when you talked about Scipio Africanus, because I've been heard that name because he supposed to have conquered a certain part of, I think it was Eastern Africa, and he you know, when you conquer a land, you know, you have your name after it, this, that, and third. So they called that part Africanus or Africa. Then they named the whole continent Africa. But before it's supposed to have been Akibulan, you did a breakdown in your research.
I showed you the white guy that came up with that. He created that in 2014.
So was it the whole continent called Ethiopia at one point?
Yes. Yes, it was. It was called Ethiopia. Yep. It's still called Ethiopia by certain people. But it's definitely not called Africa by Africans that don't speak English. Matter of fact, I put that on screen. I had a guy from Ghana tell you in his language what they refer to the whole landmass as, and he said a bliblum. That ain't got nothing to do with Africa. A bliblum don't sound like Africa.
Because when you did that, it made sense. I think an African said, "Oh, I think it was one of your videos," and then the African said, if his mom, if you ask his mom,
yep,
was in Africa, and if there's a country where, you know, there's different countries with different tribes, different cultures that may have
different languages,
right, and may have never left out of their circumference of their country, and you come and ask them, "What are you? Are you African or whatever?" They, you know, they would not, you know, they wouldn't say they're African because that's, you know,
not.
The term it came from the foreigners, the colonizers. So
correct.
It makes sense.
Yep.
It makes sense.
Yep. The Africans, and I'm not trying to be funny here, but the Africans was begging me to put them on my channel because they were like, it's been going on for too long where people were getting it misconstrued. They don't even like for us to be called African American. I don't like to be called African American because who determines that I'm African? Not my grandparents, not my ancestors. That's the government doing that.
Jesse Jackson need his ass whipped. Okay, we got this one final caller, then we out.
He sure do.
817. You better make it good, goddammit. What you want?
Yo, peace, man.
Can you hear us?
What you gonna do? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, Dane, can you hear him?
Yo. I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so peace, man. Like, first what we gonna do, we have to acknowledge, you know, Pan-Africanism is over 100 years old. But I'm just going to try to make this simple, right? So, wherever he's going to get the information he's gotten, he's had to have done some reading or study. You understand what I'm saying? So, when we start to talk about knowledge and all of the stuff that he's talking about, you're getting your information through books and reading. Now, what Pan-Africanism is we were fighting as a whole for African people to try to reclaim our history. It has nothing to do with really what you're even talking about. And I'm talking about in its totality. Europeans have stripped Africans of all of the civilization that we created, which is encampment. They stripped us of all of that history, and you're trying to take us into an AD period when it's the totality of history that we're fighting for. We're not just fighting for what's going on in America. We're fighting for everything. Now, when you look at
not to cut you off, make it short and sweet, King. Not to cut you off, but make it very short and sweet. Go ahead.
Yeah, when we look at, I'm looking at you two brothers' pictures, and when you look at where the people that look like you brothers come from, or where the majority of those people are, they're in Africa, brother. They're not in Europe. They're not over here. They're not in South America. They're not in Mexico. They're not in China. They're not in Russia. The nucleus of what we look like comes from a certain place on this planet. I don't understand why we even doing this, because you have to have an origin from which you come. So with that said, I'm gonna leave it right there and finish. I'll stay on the line if he has anything that I need to make clear of.
Hey man, Hey, thank you for your call, King. Thank you. Did you hear anything that he said, Dane?
I really couldn't make it out. I was trying to, but yeah, I'm not really. I couldn't really.
I think basically what he's saying is, from what I gather, is basically we trying to figure out how we doing over here to basically teach us where we come from and the origin of where we come from and things of that nature. You know, so I think that's where he's basically coming from. Basically, still on the African origin of where we come from, which is understandable. I still subscribe to it in a way, but I still have another way of thinking as well, because that is the origin, that is the motherland. Everybody came from there, but I think at some point where when you've been on a certain landmass for so many centuries, you have to claim it as your own, nigga. In Egypt, the Arabs been there since 635 AD. Egypt is theirs. They can claim that shit. They've been there for so long. So, with that being said, you know, everybody just have their own way of thinking. Did you get what the hell I just said, Dane?
I disagree with everybody originated in Africa, because not one continent can populate another continent.
So
keep in mind, America is northwest. Huh?
So are you debunking one of the great master teachers, Sheikh Ante Diop? Sheikh Ante Diop. Do you debunk his theory on the out of Africa theory? Rest in peace.
Actually, out of Africa, and if he's dead, I'm not trying to put no dirt on his name. But the person that created the out of Africa theory is Franz Boas. He's a German. And that was the late 1800s. He came from Germany. He's the grandfather of anthropology. I know you guys heard me mention this before, but he taught this other guy named Melville Herskovits. This is the guy that made it go viral. Another Jew made this go viral. Another Jew German, because he was working closely with W.E.B. Du Bois. They were sending letters back and forth. Their master teacher is Franz Boas. But yeah, he created the out of Africa theory, and Melville Herskovits made it go viral. He was I put this out. This is on my channel right now with video evidence. I'm trying to think of the name of that video. But I have Melville Herskovits as the picture. He's on the thumbnail. That whole video is talking about the Adam. I'll repost that. I'll repost that. But those are the people. It's Franz Boas and Melville Herskovits. They started the out of Africa theory.
Now, this is the closing remarks. I'm going to give my short closing remarks. I'm going to let you close out and be gone. I just want to say, and I'm glad you said this. Where was that? Pusha T, you said niggas was on all continents. I agree. I would like to say, when it comes down to the Kemites, if you're Kemetic, you come down to being Buddhist, Buddha, Cambodia, Southeast Asia, if you are Muslim, Allah, Christian, come from Ethiopia, all of the above. Yes, all of them were melanated people. We are all of those people in different periods of time in history. That's a fact. Whether you want.
Have you ever heard of the saying? Not to cut you off, brother, but have you ever heard of the saying, all skin folk ain't kinfolk?
Right, and I was just about to say, even though, because we have the same melanin, depends on who subscribes to what they believe in, that we may not identify with them or claim them because of your own religious practices or cultural practices and things of that nature. But we all have that same melanin. So it's all up to you on how you see fits to you. It's just like your own God. If you believe God, Jehovah is going to make you a better person, so be it. If Allah, Krishna, all the rest of them, if they're going to make you feel, will make you be a better person, so be it. We can't knock you for believing in what you want to believe in. So it's all on how you see it. All of this information is really internal and is personal to how you may seem fit to make you a better person. Mentally, wisely, spiritually, everything. So with that being said, I'm going to close out by saying that. And I want to say thank you for coming on to the show. I would like for you to close out as long or short as you want to. Let's get it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I appreciate you too, brother. I mean, my thing is just to wake the people up. I'm not trying to say they got to gravitate towards me and nothing like that. This ain't got nothing to do with no cult. I'm not no cult person. I'm not no cult leader. I'm not any of that. I'm not with an organization. I'm not with the government. I'm not a Mason. I'm not a Freemason. I'm not a Christian. I'm not a Muslim. I'm not any of that. I don't care what your religious belief is. What your religious belief is, that's your belief. If that's what makes you good inside, feel good inside, fine, so be it. I'm not for. I'm talking about you, the individual. I'm letting you know that there was some people that was prior to our generation that came around and said, look, this is what you're going to get taught in school since we can't tell your parents. And then when you turned around and told your parents what they would teach you in school, they didn't care nothing of it. Why? Because they was busy slaving for the white man. So while we were being indoctrinated for the white man, they were knocking two birds out in one stone. And people need to see that individually by pulling up their own records, not basing it off of the great doctor this or basing it off of some scholar that has came about, and may have put out some good information, but they were also taught by somebody else. They were also reading books. They were also studying somebody else's ideology. But that doesn't mean that it is you. That doesn't mean that it's your family. Can't nobody tell you about your family but your family. Can't nobody tell you are African without you having Africans in your family. Now, we could go back and say 6,000, 7,000 years, but nobody can prove that. We once again going off of somebody else's assumptions. I'm trying to defeat that because if you really think about it, what I'm telling you is how we going to get reparations or how we going to get restitution or how we can reconstruct this. I'm telling you what's going on. We were lied to. Once you know that you are indigenous to this land, that means that this land is yours. And everybody else are tenants, and it's time for them to pay rent. Straight up. They've been here too long. And on top of, this is the reason why they want, everybody else got that identity but us. It's a reason why they're trying to hide something. You think they were trying to hide the fact that you were African? No. They told you to go back to Africa in the 60s, remember? But prior to that, what were they saying? Were they telling you to go back to Africa prior to that? No, they were asking you to go to Africa. In the 1850s, 1860s, they were asking you to go to Africa so they can have some of this land for themselves. That's what happened. Now, a lot of us stayed. And they look like you and I right now. A lot of us ain't go on the Indian or we didn't agree with the Indian Removal Act. And we stayed. We right here. We ain't go nowhere. We always been here. Now, you gonna say that Africans circumnavigated the globe, but so did we. And so did everybody else. That doesn't mean that everybody is an African just because they travel. Me and you can travel right now to Africa and have, relationships with an African woman that's beautiful and drop a child in her. What does that make that child? An American or African? It makes that child an African. Why? That child was born in Africa. Their father from America. But see, this is the reason why it depends on the individual. Certain individuals will have European in their bloodline. They will have African in their bloodline. Or they could be all American. And that's just three examples. But people gotta understand that I'm not telling you no bullshit. The only way for you to know is for you to do your own research and find out on your own. Have the paperwork in your hand. Stop listening to people. Go get it on your own. Those records exist. They documented everybody that came off of those boats. I'm talking about the boats that are documented, not the slave ships. The steamboat started it first. Them white folks was coming over here by the hundreds. And that's all documented. And I want you to tell me if you see any of your ancestors on those records that's being held by the National Archives. We'll be here all day waiting on you because you ain't gonna be able to find your ancestors on those records.
Now,
Ain't nothing but pale faces.
All of them, because I know you pay, because I remember hearing your show, you say you pay a lot of money to get these documentations and stuff like that. Now, have you, I'm pretty sure you have, but I don't know, the research that you have as far as the names that have came off certain boats, not having to be a slavery boat or whatever, have you ever got any documentation that showed any enslaved cargo shipments of servants coming from Africa or anything? Is there any fucking paperwork that shows that any Africans was on paper? Because they said, not to be loaded, they said that when the first slave got on the boat in 1555 or whatever the year may be, that the first name of the woman and male was Adam and Eve. Is there any documentation showing any of that, what I just actually got there?
The only documentation that shows what Africans came here is by way of the Virginia Company of London. They sent the Congregation for Propagating the Gospel in Foreign Parts. That's what it's called. That's a missionary group. It's called the Congregation for Propagating the Gospel in Foreign Parts. You can find these records. These are Virginia Company of London, 1619. It started in the 1600s. But these were all white folks. These were all pale faces. Every single one.
Wait a minute. Goddamn. See? Now, this is going to be another hour, but I'm not trying to. What? Get the fuck out of here, goddamn it.
I'm serious, man.
We all know the world is up. It's like the globe is like, it's, how you say it? Upside down or upright, whatever you want to call it. Is it safe to say South Africa is the place you hit before you reach like Egypt or something? Because we know it's like how it's formed on a map is like, it's inverted or whatever the word you want to call it. Is it flipped upside down?
It's flipped to the left. It's turned to the left. Like the way the Mercator world map is it's not what people think it is. Like if you ever were to take a cruise ship ride, like and you going to somewhere in Europe, for example.
Nigga, I gotta smoke.
That's gonna take you about
shit. Go ahead, nigga.
That's gonna take you about 20 days to get there. And you go by way of cargo ships.
So in 16 something, the first fucking Africans that came here was white folks.
Was pale faces. And I proved that on my channel. By documentation. I even came out with a movie on this, brother. I dropped a movie on this. It's called Reversed. The movie is called Reversed. And I do have I got a lot of them on my channel talking about this topic. With records on screen.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you clear.
All right, good, because I don't want to fuck this up. But you fucked me up with that one now. All right, man. I got videos and movies on that right now. The movie is called Reversed. It's called Reversed. And I'm telling you how that role was reversed by documentation. So people can see. When I say that everything was told to us in reverse, I mean that. Everything. They tried to say that it was black Africans that was coming. That was all pale faces. And then they brought their children. And look, and what's real crazy is that all of this is documented. I'm talking about everything that I'm saying right now is documented from 1619 on up. So you telling me
it's called?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm gonna tell you where to get this from. It's called the Virginia Statutes at Large. That's my source. The Virginia Statutes at Large. Keep in mind, once again, I said that what started this crap was the Virginia Company of London, by way of the Congregation for Propagating the Gospel in Foreign Parts. They started this. I'm talking about bringing these white folks, these pale faces over here. That was them. It wasn't us. We were already here.
I know that, but this is where you got me thinking crazy now. Now we talk about the UV, as far as the light, Would you call that shit ultralight vision, whatever for you? How the sun sees us is how the sun see white people. You understand what I'm saying? But anyway, what I'm saying is, they could be on Coney Island Beach for 10 hours. They will have melanoma growing on the back of their ear. So,
but it's white folks everywhere in Africa right now. It's white folks in Africa right now.
They know how to adapt to the fucking climate now. So you telling me?
But you think they couldn't do that back then?
No.
Okay. I mean, but see, look, the thing.
So no, hold on. So you telling me the original people from Africa is the fucking?
Hold on, that's not. No, that's not what I'm saying. No.
Efficiencies?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the first Africans that arrived here were pale faces. That's what I'm saying. The first Africans that arrived in 1619 was pale faces.
All right, I mean, if you want to call them that because they came from Africa, you can say they are African American, because the ones from South Africa, they come in, they more African American than we are African American. Are you saying it in that terms? But are you calling them the Aborigines or natives to Africa? Negro?
No, I'm not calling white folks natives to Africa, but that's where they came from.
They originated from?
No. I'm not saying they originated from there, but that's where they came from. I'm talking about where they said. I'm talking. If you look up the Virginia statues at large, they're telling you each area in Africa where they brought white folks from to the Americas. The Virginia statues at large. Those are. I'm talking about. It's 13 volumes. It's a 13 volume set of books.
Right. I swear.
Those are records, though. By the way, not just an author writing that. Those are records. By way of the Virginia Company of London.
Now, I get that, and I just want to make it clear that they were there at a certain period of time. That don't make them natives or aborigines, but they came from that landmass. It came from there.
Yes.
They migrated there. So, they migrated.
I told you. Yeah. Right. I told you the majority of those people were Dutch that migrated to Africa. They were of Dutch descent. Right.
So now let's briefly talk about the origins of the Caucasoid. Do you concur, goddammit, that they come from the Caucasus Mountains, motherfucking Georgia, that part up there, caves, what was Iceman, inheritance, all that shit. Where they originate from, brother? They originated from a so-called black woman. Everybody comes from her.
Right. I wouldn't say that they came from mountains, because that means, for the reason why I'm saying that is because they're the third generation of us, technically.
Of course.
Third generation. Now, what happened, and the reason why I said number 3 is because you saw different sets of them. Prior to these people that we see, and I still call pale faces, you had the Albinoes, which we know now as the albinos. You know what I mean? They also came from a so-called black woman. So I can't say that they came from, you know what I mean? From the mountains or they were, I can't say that because I can't confirm that.
I got you. Hey, we have to do this again. This was a fucking great live. I appreciate you taking my call, my DM, and you made it happen. I really appreciate that shit. Everybody saying that they enjoyed it. Everybody get those likes up, put them thumbs up, show love, all of that good stuff, man. And I really appreciate you calling in, brother. And until next time, I know they know your channel, but just say the shit anyway, goddamn it.
Dane Calloway on YouTube. The real Dane Calloway. You're gonna see me verified. I saw it's a couple people that they troll and create other pages with my name. But Mine is verified. I'm about to be verified on Instagram and Twitter here in a second because they doing the same thing on there.
All right, man. Yo, Dane, salute. I appreciate you, man. Until next time, King. Did you enjoy this?
Hell yeah, brother. Yeah. I mean, I was checking you out before, you know what I'm saying? And I was trying to figure it out and when it was going to be a good time to do it. This was a good one. This a good one.
This was a great
one. But I don't mind you playing my video. I'm giving you permission live. I don't mind you going to my videos and playing them for references. Okay? But that's not for everybody else. I'm only saying Mike can have my videos in here to play as references. But yeah, you got permission to do that, brother. I don't mind that. Because look, the more people that learn and the more people that see that I don't play no games, I put this stuff on stream, the more people that's really gonna be like intrigued and really gonna, focus on getting their own paperwork done with their own family. And what I mean by paperwork is paper trail, gathering up all those records of your family members that I referred to. Don't hesitate. It don't even gotta be mother, father, grandfather, grandmother. It could be aunt, uncle, niece, nephew, cousin. Get all records. I'm not joking. You need to find out what happened with your family. Don't let no stranger tell you any different.
Man, Dane Calloway, y'all. Thank you. Salute, King. Have a blessed one.
Salute.
Peace.
You too.
Oh, man. That was fucking dope, y'all. Yes, very informative. My lips dry. I am tired. I was sipping. But this was so fucking great, y'all. Salute to that man. And I'm going to say this in closing. I'm not going to kill y'all because I want to end this live great. Knowledge is infinite. Whatever you subscribe to, as you get older, you still can learn something new. Think outside the box. Eat the meat and spit out the bones, y'all. Eat the meat, spit out the bones. Take what's you feel that you can apply to your everyday life, your attributes, what you can teach your children, all of the above. Just know, the person that we get in debt from, college and all that stuff, I'm not saying don't go, it is great. You get in debt damn near for the rest of your life. They lie to you in school, they lie all motherfucking day. Are you really telling me that you are content with the knowledge that they gave you, but knowing damn well they don't like you, knowing damn well they show you do everything that they don't care, that you are nothing, you are the gum under their shoe? Don't take everything for face value. Take knowledge as it comes. It may make you uncomfortable from what you already know. It happens. It's happening to me. But I am open to it. Because all of history has a little bit of loopholes or little holes in it. So as you want to find out more and why. That's all I want to say. I want to say thank y'all for tuning in, man. This was good. Y'all should show love to the motherfucking platform. Thank y'all for tuning in to all motherfucking Viral Access Media. Is going to be more great news and great content to come. Dane Calloway, salute.
I'm just here to make you think.